Hello and welcome again to the Rider Review. This is Eric Ryder speaking, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 1991 musical comedy drama titled The Commitments. Now, The Commitments runs for 1 hour and 58 minutes long. It is directed by Alan Parker. It is produced by Roger Randall Cutler and Linda Miles. The script was written by Dick Clement, Ian Lafreniere, and Roddy Doyle, and it is based on the book The Commitments by Roddy Doyle. The cinematography was done by Gail Taltersall, and it was edited by Gary Hambling. And the stars of the movie are Robert Arkins, Michael Aherne, Angeline Ball, Maria Doyle, Dave Finnegan, Bronagh Gallagher, Glen Hansard, Dick Massey, Johnny Murphy, Kenneth McCluskey, Andrew Strong, and Colm Meaney. It has been 28 years since Alan Parker directed the 1991 film The Commitments, and though Ireland went through a major makeover in the last 3 decades, the music featured here has never lost its step. Based off of the novel by Roddy Doyle, as part of his Barrytown trilogy about a soul band whose rise to fame was very short-lived, but the impact it had on the band members' lives was eternal. Much like the cobbling together a group is in similar fashion to Parker's other film, Fame, The Commitments looks into youth who live in destitute, who have no musical education program provided to them. So in order to make a name for themselves, they have to do all of this on their own, which is very inspiring and quite satisfying for all movie fans, or for fans who love music, soul music in particular. You see, the movie is not just based off of the music, though the focal point is that music is the main feature here. But if you really look really deep back, you can also say that this movie looks at Ireland in the 80s and its financial woes, thanks to the inept government at the time, led by Charles Hoffey and Garrett Fitzgerald. Many people in Ireland were living in destitute. It looked like a freaking third world country. You know, economic instability was really running rampant in Ireland, and it would take many, many years for them to make a comeback. And because there was no program for aspiring musicians, they had to go out on their own. But in the end, I kind of liked what had transpired from these musicians, and they got something that they never had before, and that is confidence. They now have something to look upon, and they could wear them everywhere they go. So the movie goes a little something like this. Set in Dublin, Ireland in the late 1980s, we are introduced to Jimmy Rabbit, played by Robert Arkins, an aspiring talent agent who has a dream. He wants to form a band that could play soul music, 60s soul music, from the likes of great artists like Wilson Pickett, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, Lou Rawls, Arthur Conley, and the leader of the pack, the Godfather himself, James Brown. He dreams about this all the time. When he's taking a bath, he pretends he's being interviewed by Terry Wogan, and it just lingers on him. And even though he has a dream, there is fear of doubt from his Elvis-loving father, Jimmy Sr., played by Colm Meaney. Jimmy sets out on a journey to audition a band of musicians who could play soul music inspired by the likes of Aretha Franklin, Wilson Pickett, and Otis Redding. With this new band, Jimmy hopes this band will become the next big breakout group this side of Emerson Isle. Under the name The Commitments, Jimmy's first acquisition is an older trumpet player who goes by the name of Joey the Lips Fagan, played by Johnny Murphy, who claims to have jammed with soul performers back in the 60s, like Wilson Pickett, though it's questionable if he really did, or was he just looking for opportunity. But the thing about what I like about Joey the Lips is that he is so sincere in the things he says. He's got this voice that tells me that he's not bullshitting. Now, I don't know if he actually is telling the truth or if he was just seeking opportunity. But either way, we want to believe him because he's just so organically honest in his delivery. We just only have to take his word for it. That's really all we have to do. I mean, it's not official that he really actually jammed with these soul musicians. But Jimmy takes him in anyway. And with this new band, Jimmy hopes that under his leadership, this band will likely get the gigs, and hopes that this veteran musician guides them through any way possible. Whereas Jimmy's the leader, Joey is, I guess, kind of like the second in command, the level-headed one. Even though sometimes he doesn't always play level-headed. I mean, he seems to have a bit of groupie type of integrity about him, which I will get to a little bit later. Either way, Joey is fond of Jimmy's dream and wants in, feeling this is an essential calling for a long-awaited comeback. He would be the band's team leader. I guess kind of like a older father figure type. As time goes on, other band members past the audition each bring their musical traits with them, while all the members have diverse characterizations to keep the film rolling. As the band's lead singer, who goes by the name of Deco Cuff, played by Andrew Strong, is an enigmatic type of character due to his high ego, uncouth mannerisms that are a turnoff towards the other band members, but his vibrant singing pipes make up for all his shortcomings. I mean, when I think of Deco, he is like the biggest dick in the group, but he manages to stay on because this guy can sing like an angel. And you know what's the strange thing? I didn't notice that at first, but when this movie was made, he was only 16 years old. I could have sworn he passed off sort of like in his mid-20s. But this guy had a maturity, soul-singing voice. No wonder this guy passed the audition. He's just so organically good. Even though we don't like his character, but it's his singing that really likes you to have him in the group. Regardless who he pisses off in the group. This guy is the real deal. So meanwhile, the other members, we have on the drums, we have Billy, played by Dick Massey, whose drums were obtained at a pawn shop. Oh, I remember this funny scene while he was playing drums in the pawn shop. The pawn shop owner comes up to him and says, "Hey, Ginger! Shut the fuck up, will ya?" Oh, that line was priceless. I mean, that one really makes you laugh. Okay, in this movie, the swearing is quite frequent and quite gratuitous. But it's to be believable because most of the people in Ireland were angry because of the failed economic instability at the time. So it's just natural to swear. But the way she delivered it was priceless. Meanwhile, on the bass, there's Derek, played by Kenneth McCluskey, who practices during his free time when working at the slaughterhouse. And then on saxophone, we have Dean, played by Felim Gromley, who has more interest in jazz than in soul. The group's guitarist, outspend Foster, played by Glen Hansard, who was in the movie Once. He also joins the fray. And finally, we have a keyboard player named Steve, played by Michael Aherne, who performs the organ at the local church and has a great fondness for the British band Procol Harum, which I guess makes sense since the frontman of the group, Gary Brooker, played the keyboards, and keyboard is the essential musical instrument in the band Procol Harum. In addition to them, Jimmy also hires 3 lady singers to provide backup for the group. But they're not just one-dimensional background singers. They also sing quite a lot. Their voices is just as of equal importance to Deco, and their support for Deco means quite a lot more than Deco as the frontman. I mean, they're the glue to Deco's voice. So they're not one-dimensional backup female singers with no character to them. We have Bernie, played by Brownie Gallagher, who works as a curbside cook, one of those delivery trucks that serves fish and chips. Yeah, they don't have a tour bus. They use her truck to get around to gigs. And then you have Natalie, played by Maria Doyle, who's supposed to be kind of like the straight character behind the other characters. And then you have Imelda, played by Angeline Ball, who everyone in the band seems to be attracted to the most. But like I said, these girls do a fair amount of singing as Deco and deserve a lot of credit for their contributions in the group. The movie focuses in the immediate success of the band and also embodies the grave reality that not all good things last forever. From the clunky rehearsals in the pool hall attic to the wowing of the fans in local pubs and nightclubs to the sad breakup due to personal reasons, massive egos, and a better lack of coexisting from fellow band members. I mean, some of them even wish to knock out a few teeth out of Deco's mouth because he's so fucking obnoxious. And the heat and the tensions with maintaining a group is a lot more complex than what Jimmy has ever imagined. I mean, it shows that even though making a band looks easy at first glance, is much harder to maintain. Aside from the musical standpoint of this movie, the audience gets a tour of the squalor conditions the musician lived, where their hopes and dreams were tarnished due to the economic collapse back then. But performing as the Commitments, the singers and musicians have been offered something they never had before, which was confidence. And I think this confidence alone probably would be more than just a certificate or a degree. Because with this level of confidence, they can continue to whatever endeavor they wish to pursue, whether they want to stay in music or whether they want to move forward to another career path. By having the commitments, they managed to achieve that. They can now look back on their experience as a way to guide them through whatever endeavors they wish to pursue in life. Aside from the musical performance and the dramas each individual are facing, there is some comedic moments in this movie as well. From Deco's erratic mannerisms, to Jimmy's begging for favors, to the handling of their bouncer, played by Dave Finnegan, who hires and later becomes their group drummer, and Joey's fondling with the girl backup singers. One of the more touching scenes is, well, I loved their concert near the end, and then I was very heartbroken when the band unfortunately broke up. But at least their breakup doesn't mean the end. In fact, it actually means it was the start of a new beginning. And I think Jimmy deserves more credit than he gets. So in a way, Jimmy Rabbit is actually more like a saint with an Irish accent. So even though the physical layer of this movie is dark, cynical, and hopeless, but the ray of light comes from Jimmy's confidence in himself and his fellow musicians. Well, he was able to give something that they can look back upon in whatever goals they wish to achieve. And even though after the inevitable breakup, Jimmy walks over to Joey's motorcycle and says, "I failed as a manager." And then, Joey says that you didn't. I mean, it would have been predictable if the band would have continued on. But the breakup is more poetic. And then Jimmy says to Joey, "You promised us that Wilson Pickett was going to make an appearance, but he never showed up." So then were probably led to believe that Joey the Lips Finnegan was bullshitting. And then driving through Ireland was a limo. And inside that limo was Wilson Pickett. So maybe Joey really did gig with these soul singers and musicians. Who knows? You know, one of the great things about this movie is that most of these guys never had any acting experience. And some of these were one-hit wonders. But you know what? It's all good because they don't have to act a certain way, be a certain way. They just gotta go natural. And I think that actually feels more like effective storytelling by keeping it real and not having some big name Hollywood star and starlet grace the screen. It's okay to have inexperienced, unknown performers giving it all because it just feels so organic. According to Alan Parker, during an interview featured on the Blu-ray, he spent weeks looking for a local talent to audition for his movie, which is amusingly similar to the scenes where Jimmy is listening in on the various genres of music each band member plays during his auditions. The musicians portrayed here may have had some musical experience, but a lot of them were first-time actors. Like I said, it just flowed organically. The only exception who wasn't musically inclined was Johnny Murphy as Joey the Lips Finnegan, who needed private lessons to play the trumpet. With combined singing and the music to the tracks, Parker was able to successfully cover such soul classics like Mustang Sally. Remember the scene when they were in the attic and he told the girls, you know, who the part where they were supposed to sing "Ride Sally Ride," "Ride Sally Ride." They were going, "Ride Sally Ride." No, it's supposed to be "Ride Sally Ride." And then, of course, there was that powerful song, "Try Little Tenders," where Deco just nails it. And then, of course, there was "Chain of Fools," where one of the female singers gets to sing lead vocals. In fact, the sounds were so good, they eventually were made into 2 albums that came out in 1991. When award season eventually came, Gary Hambling was nominated for Best Editing in a Movie. This falls in the category of a great underdog story of ragtag, destitute musicians finding their way through their doldrums in gaining the gift of confidence that was never given to them before. They pushed the boundaries they never thought they had and made something up for themselves. Sure, they're no Van Morrison, but they're no longer pathetic chumps. So if you're a fan of soul music, you might find The Commitments will hold a special place in your heart. The film succeeds in keeping the music real, the characters believable, and the locations real. In the end, you will likely sing your heart out. So, if I was to give this a scale out of 10, I would give The Commitments a 9. I highly recommend it. And if you ever should see the CD, I think you should order it. Or at least listen to it on YouTube. It's really that good. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. But just remember the 3 simple rules. Be kind, be courteous, and please refrain from any rude comments. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Ryder saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.